KaiJune.
Hey guys, it's Ryne from the Moon is the Dead World. We're starting off our KaiJune week today with Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, which is part of their the Toho collection that's coming out on Blu-ray right now. And I got a bunch of them, probably about 8 in all, which I'll be covering along with the Gamera discs, the Ultimate Collection Volumes 1 and 2. And I'll be doing those all week long and possibly even more into next week to get these reviews done, and also to do some video reviews, which I haven't done before. So we're going to tackle King Ghidorah first, and that was in 1991 when it was first released. King Ghidorah is a three-headed monster that comes from the future to battle Godzilla. Now, King Ghidorah actually started out as these things called Dorats, which are little tiny Furby type guys. They fly and they can actually, they know basically human emotion. So if you're feeling scared, they know that you're scared, and they react to that. So these guys from the future come back to 1992 Japan, and they are trying to get King Ghidorah to come back, basically, instead of Godzilla, because Godzilla in 1944 was just a regular dinosaur, and then after some nuclear H-bombs were dropped, Godzilla became what he is now, which is a giant unstoppable dinosaur with radiation-breathing powers. King Ghidorah, however, is what these new time travelers want as the giant monster that basically rules Japan, takes out Japan. They're kind of like a terrorism bunch. So King Ghidorah actually becomes the new Godzilla after our protagonist named Terasawa goes back in time, stops Godzilla from absorbing all the radiation, and they actually leave the Dorats in the past, so they become radiated, and then they become King Ghidorah, which is the three-headed monster, 3 Dorats put together. So after that, Terasawa and the one girl that he's befriended, that's from the time-traveling group, who doesn't agree with their terrorism, they both try to stop King Ghidorah. And what they do is they go to find Godzilla, who's now in the ocean, and technically he shouldn't have absorbed any radiation, so he shouldn't be anything more than a dinosaur, but as fate would have it, some nuclear waste was dropped right where he is in the Bering Sea, and now he's radiated again. And it doesn't really matter how it happens, because Godzilla's alive and he's gonna come and fight King Ghidorah. But either way, King Ghidorah is stopped at first by Godzilla. But then Godzilla goes on to terrorize Japan, and he's heading right for Tokyo. So the time travelers have to go back to the future, get King Ghidorah from the future, and actually make him into sort of a mecha King Ghidorah. Then they bring King Ghidorah back, and they fight Godzilla again to kill Godzilla, and then eventually they all go into the sea to end the story. It's a lot to take in. The time traveling portion of it is pretty cool, but it's also pretty dated. I mean, you'll see all the graphics in this Godzilla movie from 1991-92 are pretty dated, but that's kind of what you get when you take on these Toho movies, and obviously we love them for what they are, not for the cheesy qualities that they have. But I did make out a list of the kaiju carnage, if you will, that happens within this movie, and we're going to take a look at that right now. The first thing I recorded is the buildings that are been destroyed or crushed, and that is just an estimate by me, especially because you can't count everything, but I tried my best to see what we saw on screen that was crushed, and I got about 40 buildings. And some of those are King Ghidorah, some of those are Godzilla, and some of those are actually the fault of humans. Next we have the trees that are uprooted in the 1944 Godzilla dinosaur part. That is 5 trees that he uproots there. We have 2 helicopters that exploded for no reason really. They don't really explain why. We have 1 submarine that's blown up by Godzilla in the water. 4 jets that are destroyed by King Ghidorah in the air. 1 time machine that's actually kind of an ironic part in the film, and that's when Godzilla destroys the time traveler's time machine. And we have 4 tanks that are destroyed by Godzilla towards the end of the movie. Besides the carnage, there's a lot of other funny stuff that we can talk about with King Ghidorah. Part of it is how shitty it makes Americans look. In 1944, they talk about the war between the Americans and the Japanese that they were fighting at that time. And apparently Godzilla came to help the Japanese fend off the Americans. That's all well and good, but they do show the Japanese mourning the loss of Godzilla, who as a dinosaur wasn't as overpowered as he is as the giant monster that we see fighting King Ghidorah. And when they're mourning him, the Americans are basically just running away. So the Japanese are taking a liking to Godzilla. They actually treat him like an animal or a human being who was a hero in the war. Well, the Americans just try to pummel him with bullets and tank shells. Other than that, there's this funny robot guy from the future called M11. In King Ghidorah, they love to use fast-forward shots. So M11, who apparently can run like Flash, is shown all the time either running after a Jeep, barely moving, looks like he's on a conveyor belt, or he's not moving his legs at all, but you can just see him just sprinting as fast as possible, which is also pretty funny. There's a reference to Steven Spielberg in here, which is kind of weird that it comes up. It's again during 1944. There's a shot of a UFO that's coming in over American base. And there's a remark from the 2 Americans, who they actually speak English as well, who says, you'll have to tell that to your son, Major Spielberg. It's delivered in that deadpan, and actually the American actors aren't very good in this movie, but it's a nice reference to like Steven Spielberg, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, everything like that. So there's that nice reference in there as well. Just looking over the list of other things that I have here. Terasawa actually is writing a book about the birth of Godzilla, and when the time travelers come back, they bring the book with them, and he has already written the book, and he's just starting it in the present when King Ghidorah is set, and he's asking how well he did getting Godzilla's birth right. And they say, well, you're about 98% right, and he says, oh, that's just great. But the only problem is the world is about to end because of radiation. So good job for getting it right about Godzilla, but yeah, you didn't do a great job of figuring out that the world's going to end because of radiation. Other than that, there's not a whole lot to talk about in King Ghidorah. They have some pretty good effects, and I do like the storyline a lot. There's it's kind of cool how they both bring in King Ghidorah as a time-traveling being, and they also get around to both having Godzilla as a savior, as a villain, and King Ghidorah as both a savior as a villain. So that's pretty cool, and it actually gives a lot of screen time to both monsters, even though sometimes it's more focused on Terasawa as the protagonist. But other than that, it's a pretty good movie. Definitely check it out. The Blu-ray itself actually doesn't have very many special features at all. We get trailers. I think it has like 6 trailers and different language options, but the one that you obviously are going to want to watch it in is the Japanese subtitled one. So I would check it out because it does come with the other disc in this one, which is Godzilla vs. Mothra, which we'll be covering in the next couple days. But as for special features on this Toho set, not a lot. It looks good though, plays good. Got I think it's probably a stock title menu. So other than that, other than the if you like the movie, you should check it out. But and it's probably a pretty good deal for both movies, but no special features to speak of. But I hope you've enjoyed KaiJune, the first installment. We're going to do many more in the next few days. That's my my toilet there, my clock toilet. So we're going to do that. We're going to cover Gamera. I'm going to give away those Gamera copies, volumes 1 and 2, to someone lucky who subscribes to the email list. So if you want to go to the link that I'm going to provide down below, that's going to be a MailChimp account. You just got to sign up, name and email, and that puts you in the running to receive the giveaway copies of Gamera volumes 1 and 2. And that should be a blast, and I'm going to cover those later this week, so stay tuned for more KaiJune. Thanks a lot for watching, guys.